I'm in the midst of Hurricane Helene. Courtesy of my father Tom Colton and Perceptive Recruiting, I am able to use their office right now, so let's jump in. You're gonna love this one. Apparently the best way to beat Cenk Uygur in a debate is to just let him speak, which is exactly what happened last week on the issue of attempts on Trump's life. But there's nothing more satisfying than watching Candace Owens treat him like a child throwing a tantrum, which has a tangent on how dangerous political rhetoric of this kind can be. Subscribe to the channel and take a look at this before we get into it.
Okay, first of all, on Donald Trump, what do you want me to do? The guy did a coup attempt. He had fake electors, not even his own electors. You have your own slate of electors. He didn't use them because they said this is unconstitutional and illegal. You lost the election. And he said, all right, you can get in fake electors. Let's do a coup attempt here. Let's have them bum rush the Capitol. And then that'll create enough confusion that we could bring it back to the states and the Republicans will cheat for us. They even wrote it in a book. Then he said we should terminate the Constitution because he lost the election. So what do you want me to do, Piers? The guy hates democracy. He's a dictator wannabe. So, okay, should you shoot at him? Of course not. Any action that is physical like that or violent is a surrender in the intellectual field of debate and ideas. So it's a terrible idea, it's immoral, etc. But I'm not going to let up on Donald Trump for 1 second rhetorically, because he is a monster and he tried to terminate our Constitution. He tried to steal an election. I've never seen anyone so despicable in American politics. And by the way, there's another reason why I'm angry at him, because I'm a populist, and he took populism and he perverted it to just turning into his own personal con. He's such a slimy con man. I loathe him. Everyone should vote against him. He's one of the worst people I have ever seen in politics, and I'm not going to let him terminate the Constitution or destroy this democracy.
You see, what I find extraordinary, Cenk, is you haven't even given it a beat since he nearly had his brains blown out on Sunday on a golf course, which came 2 months after...
Did he give a beat, Piers? Did he give a beat? Did he ever give a beat when he constantly talks about violence? Hey, if someone takes out somebody from with a stretcher, I'll pay the legal bills. Attack people. Oh, my political opponents, I'm going to jail them. I'm going to attack them.
Well, to be clear, hang on. To be clear, you're trying to equate him making a joke about maybe slapping or punching someone in a crowd who's abusing him with someone.
Can I make a joke
with
about
someone taking an AK
Trump across the face?
Well, hang on, was somebody
Can I make that joke?
Was somebody
Can I make that joke, Piers?
Well, hang on.
The answer to that question? Yes, he can, because political comedy is still very much alive in America, but I've always been fascinated at how worked up Cenk gets when discussing Donald Trump, even if he doesn't think political violence is a reason to temporarily tone down the political rhetoric. And I feel like we should make this clear. The heated disagreements, criticism, or name-calling you hear from Cenk is not the reason that some deranged individual picks up arms to shoot at him. That's not the point, and that's not the claim that anyone is making here. The argument to merely have a breather from petty politics of this kind when the country has just escaped a literal assassination attempt on a former president, when everyone else is shocked into silence, it's not a good look for someone like Cenk to still be loudly ranting about political news cycle or an individual. And to Cenk's actual point here, no, you don't need to excuse Donald Trump's own heated political rhetoric to recognize that, because two wrongs don't make a right. But there's only one person so far in American politics that's escaping assassins' bullets left and right, and that's Trump. That means this is about something much bigger than one man, because everyone understands the catastrophic consequences if a former president was in fact the target of a successful attempt on his life. All that is in order at a time like this is some time and political introspection.
Why would you be surprised that people are taking drastic action? Unhinged people with unhinged brains who are listening to constant rhetoric from people.
You didn't answer the question.
Well,
what do you want me to do? You want me to politically surrender, right?
I'm asking you a question. Do you not consider for a moment that within 48 hours you're still saying monster, demagogue, dictator, blah,
yes,
blah, 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 blah.
Because that's who he is.
Yes, but this is what is affecting...
So you want me to lie?
Yeah, because...
Piers, tell me this.
Because,
do you want me to lie?
Let me finish. The shooter at the golf course, specifically in his recent social media posts, parroted Kamala Harris, saying that he was effectively an existential threat to democracy in America. You're doing the same. Does nothing make you pause?
You're insane.
Hillary Clinton's doing the same.
Trump does it 2,000 times worse.
What I make of all of this is that if you are going to legitimately tell people that someone is a monster, that somebody is a dictator, that somebody is literally if you're going to tell people that this person is a constant threat, why wouldn't somebody try to eliminate that threat? That would actually be a sensible thing for somebody to do if they believe the rhetoric that is coming out of people's mouths. Now,
then
if this had happened and it was flipped,
including you, Candace.
Cenk, you just spoke for a very long time.
Let Candace finish, please.
Times worse than you know.
Let Candace speak.
Cenk, you're going to have to learn how to control yourself. I know it's very difficult for you, but you just had a very long time to speak and we were quiet. I promise you can do that. You need to sit on your hands, then you should do that.
That was the most subtle yet assertive way to silence him she could have chosen. There's no point shouting him down because he can go even louder every time. But the broader point is simple. Over the last few years, the political temperature has risen more than it ever has, and a large part of it has to do with how politics overall has changed after the rise of Donald Trump. But there's a difference between heated rhetoric and almost using the fear-mongering of a dictator, Donald Trump, as a media and campaign strategy, and if you spread scary messaging like this to millions of people, it's more likely that some deranged individual will rise up to nip the supposed dictator in the bud and become some sort of a hero. If you liken Donald Trump to the German dictator enough times, you'll eventually have someone rise up and see their movement as being alive in Germany in the 1930s, to have the chance to end the dictator's life. Again, the line from rhetoric to violence isn't direct, and it doesn't have to implicate someone for it either. But all that should be easy to get behind, that there is a limit to how far the knob on the political temperature can be turned up until it spills over to violence. Eric Prince, having seen how violence breeds firsthand, agrees.
Look, like the video clip you opened with, there's an enormous amount of apocalyptic language spoken by the left, saying he must be eliminated, he is here, and that unleashes every left-wing crazy to authenticate themselves by saying, I'm going to be the hero. This guy, this Ruth guy on Sunday, who was there for 12 hours stalking Donald Trump with a high-powered rifle with a scope, with ballistic plates up against the fence. And what did he have up there? A GoPro. Why? He was trophy hunting. He wanted to be the savior of the left, to say, I'm the one that killed Donald J. Trump. Trophy hunting, saying, for people like you responding to words that you're putting out there. Nancy Pelosi's husband had an interlude with some bizarre gay lover. Trust me,
he wasn't on the right.
Oh my God, I'm on here with lunatics. I'm on here with lunatics and conspiracy theorists. I can't believe he just said that. And you're saying that the guy who smashed Paul Pelosi's head in wasn't on the right? Is that what Candace Owens, the lunatic, just said?
Okay, just so you know, if you're going to call somebody else a lunatic, you shouldn't be behaving like one in the process.
When you say, but Cenk, when you say these right-wingers are all nuts, do you understand the irony, given you just spent the last 10 minutes literally ranting?
That was the most subtle way to have said that to Cenk Uygur. Remember, Cenk has been on Piers Morgan's show several times before, and they've gotten into a pretty ugly fight themselves, and it's kind of sad that someone who could offer a reasonable left-wing interpretation would resort to flipping out like this on camera. It certainly does his ideas no favors. He's even got a knack for picking needless fights with someone, straight up calling Candace and Eric lunatics to their face. He apparently thinks that about the entire party, which is nearly half the country.
Total lunatic Republicans.
After that, you basically shut the door to ever making the best use of a panel discussion like this, turning the debate more into a spectacle.
Eric Prince, as a lunatic, he served our country. You should have a little more respect and decency.
Yeah, no, he's a mercenary and a disgusting guy, by the way. How many people did you get killed? Innocent people in Iraq, Eric. How many people did you have mowed down in Iraq, Eric?
You know, going back to your topic, Piers, perhaps it's time to bring back 19th century behavior, which maybe we had a more civil society then. If people are going to throw all kinds of bombastic language, they do so because they do it without consequence. In the 19th century in the UK, people would call them out for a duel. It doesn't have to be to the death. It could be swords. It could be pugil sticks. Maybe that would make for a more polite society. I don't know. I'm ready to go there.
You see that? Piers, you see that? Who's the first to threaten violence? Of course, Eric from the right wing. Yeah, but, whereas I denounce violence. I denounce it strongly and loudly, and you heard it with your own ears.
But Cenk, what I don't think you appreciate is how ranting, incendiary rhetoric of the kind you've unleashed so far in this debate yourself can, with an impressionable, unhinged person who believes everything you're saying about Trump, as Candace said, why wouldn't that person think to themselves, yeah, we've got to get rid of him, we've got to stop him?
Okay.
So my question for you is, if you can't even dial it down within 48 hours of a second assassination attempt on Trump's life, when can you?
And that's a question that political pundits need to ask themselves right now. It's easy to get sucked into the vortex of the daily news cycle, and it's easy to be tempted to milk every news event for views. But there has to be some point where the nation at large is just shocked into silence for a minute and can come together and introspect. That's the least bit of a political unity we need from both sides. But let me know in the comments if you agree, because looking at how volatile the world has become, we will increasingly have to learn to do that moving forward.